Good morning, everybody. Sorry for a little bit of a delay. So my name is Karen Schwob Ticknor. I once ran Jedi Proxium. I've taught tons of people. I focus in on the Force, but I do teach people how to be Jedi Knights. Usually I would teach some lesson about being a Jedi and generally about the Force. But today we're going to go a completely different route from my usual lesson. In fact, this isn't necessarily, I would call a lesson, but more of a telling story thing. Um, I went through a very big, unexpected Jedi trial. I had not a clue any of this, and I think I faced every fear you can imagine in the matter of a day. And I will confess, this is really, really hard for me to talk about. So apologies in advance for the tears, but this is ongoing. This trial hasn't really ended yet. Um, so Thanksgiving Day, I I had flown from Utah, where I live, to North Carolina, Asheville, to go spend Thanksgiving with my dad. I got up that morning. I walked down the mountain that he lives on. He literally does live on top of a mountain. And I walked all the way back up about 200 feet. And I did great. And I was pacing and I was walking 3 to 5 miles throughout that trip, just to give you a baseline of my health. I cooked a ribeye roast. It was perfect. And I mean, darn perfect. I was feeling great. And then that night, everything went wrong. My stomach turned hard and painful. I threw up some like 4 a.m. in the morning and I felt awful. And the next day I thought, well, this is just food poisoning. Surely everybody else will have this. I discovered nobody else had this. And I thought, well, maybe I'm just the lucky one. And I kind of suffered through. The next day, I felt a little bit better. Got on a plane, did a layover, got another plane, and walked like a mile back to the car. Got picked up. Monday, I went to work, felt awful, and I kept running fevers through the nights. And that should have been a clue, but it wasn't. Tuesday, no progress one way or another. Wasn't really eating. Stomach felt horrible. Kept running fevers through the night. But something was starting to alarm me. Something's not right. This is not just your average stomach. Wednesday, the pain actually got worse, and I left work, went straight to a doctor. And I have a huge fear of needles, and I got two blood draws, one finger poke, and ironically, a shot of painkiller, which really, you want to help the pain by stabbing me? Anyway, they said, okay, well, it's not any infection that we're aware of that we can test in this office. We want you to go get an ultrasound of your gallbladder. And so I scheduled that for the next day, thinking, and I looked up, what it could be, and I didn't have the right symptoms for gallstones. And I thought, oh, I'm fine. They're just ruling out things. They don't know what's going on. So that morning, no, Thursday morning, I went and got that um, scan done, and it hurt a lot. That should have been a clue. Something was majorly wrong, but I was still holding on to some infection. Yeah, I'll few antibiotics, I'll be absolutely fine. Went to work, ate a little, drank a little, and Sophia's not gonna be very happy with this, but the last thing I had was a small amount of Mountain Dew because I was super tired. And I got a can of Mountain Dew. I poured some for me and I gave the rest to a coworker, going, I really just need to pick me up. So I then got a call and I was like, okay, it's from the doctor. I'll get told that I just need to be on a better diet, exercise, the whole 9 yards. And meanwhile, Sophia and I are under like apprenticeship and I've been working for the last 5 weeks on my fitness. I can lift 10-pound weights, which is a big improvement from barely able to lift a water bottle for like 10 times in a row. I've been really, really working on the diet. I hadn't had sugar very much, very, very little sugar for 5 weeks. I really was working on my health. I was in a lot better shape than I've been in a while. That's including hiking shape. Just to give you an idea of how much I went from top gain downward. Well, I got a call from the doctor, and the doctor said, well, we got the blood tests and the scans back, and your gallbladder is severely inflamed. You need to go to the hospital and get surgery to have this removed. Pause. I'm going, what? Wait, this isn't just take antibiotics and be better in a couple of days? And the doctor goes, okay, what hospital are you going to? I'll call ahead. What, huh? I have no idea what hospital to go to, people. Uh, and I picked a hospital that I drive past every single day to work. Seems like it's a really good one. So I told them that, and I'm like, just to be clear, you mean drop work and go straight to the hospital? Doctor says, yes. Oh, oh my gosh. I'm starting to shake. I'm starting to feel the meltdown happening. And what was worse is that I have an allergy to red food coloring. It's called red food coloring 40. And I had accidentally had some trying out some medication to try to calm my stomach. It makes my anxiety really, really, really bad. And this is the last thing you want to have when you're being told you need emergency surgery. So the panic went through the roof. I went and called my friend because we share the car. His name is Red. And I said, hey, Red, they want me to get my gallbladder removed and they want me to go to hospital like now. He said, okay, I'm going to get in the car and I will be there. I'm going to take the freeway, which is code for I'm going to go as fast as I legally can. Then I called my boss, who was not in the office yet, and I said, yeah, boss, I'm being told I need surgery and I'm gonna leave right now and go get surgery. He's paused and he said, are you okay? And I could feel the tears coming in. I just said, no. I wasn't gonna give him details. I didn't even want to believe that this was happening. I was in this much denial. Then I called my dad, and that's where I couldn't hold it any longer. And I started crying and I told him about the surgery and I told him what kind. And he was like, oh, this isn't that big of a deal. They do this all the time. That's really not what someone wants to hear who is absolutely terrified of needles. Anyway, so my friend picked me up. I cried the whole way to the hospital. I got to the hospital and they said, it's gonna be a 2 hour wait. And I was like, the doctor said it was gonna, like, they called in. Like, well, it's still gonna be a 2 hour wait. I'm going, I'm literally being told this is life and death surgery. Okay. But it took 20 minutes and I got into a room. He actually did take this very, very seriously. Anyway, they did another scan and then they did the IV. I'll spare you the details on the IV, but let's just say It took 2 tries, and it was horrible. Every fear I've ever had of needles definitely came true on that one. And my blood pressure was absolutely through the roof. I um, Nobody could reach me. My friend tried, the doctors tried. They tried giving me a anxiety pill, which should vaguely calm me down for like 5 minutes. But honestly, I was in such denial of the whole situation that it didn't really help. I kept thinking, this can't be me. I can't be the one here. And when I put on a hospital gown, it felt like all my dignity was leaving. It was insane, the denial I was in. The only one that could reach me was my travel buddy. Her name is Sandy. And I called her up and I told her, Sandy, help me. I need surgery and I don't know anything about surgery and I don't know how to handle this. So she went and looked up a video, sent me the video. I never watched that video. She then summarized that video, and really and truly, gallbladder surgery is very, very common. It happens to a lot of people. Your gallbladder is responsible for helping you digest greasy fats. So things like your fast food and whatnot, it helps digest that. But I didn't know what a gallbladder was. I didn't know where it was in my body. I certainly didn't know what it did. And now I'm being told, by the way, you're getting this removed. And I didn't know what the implications of that was. So that was really hard. I did get admitted. I got wheeled up to the 7th floor. 705 was the room number. Don't ask me why I know that room number, but I do. And the next morning, they wheeled me down, and I will say that was the scariest moment of my life. Desperately wanting to stop that from happening and not go into the OR was really, really, really hard. Um, and then that floor was freezing cold. And I remember the doctor coming in to go over every last little detail and ask me, okay, what medical conditions do you have? And oh my gosh, I blabbed. I was not gonna hold anything back. If I had done drugs, and no, I have never done drugs, not even thought, um, I would have totally told. The only thing is I have preemie lungs. I was born 3 months early, and that I definitely let them know. And that actually was very vial. Turns out that did affect me. And then they wheeled me into the actual operating room, and it was like polar freezing cold, coldest room ever. And they told me, okay, we need you to scoot on over to this tiny little bed. And it was the only way I could do that is I told myself it is okay to be terrified, but you still have to do this. So I went and I scooted over, absolutely beyond terrified. They put warm blankets on me, and I thought, okay, well, at least I won't be cold. And then they said, all right, we're going to give you the good stuff. And out I went. I didn't remember anything. I do remember that I was dreaming of work because I was concerned about work, even though I did call my boss before all this and told him what was going on. And he said, you know what? Don't worry about work. Just focus on you, which honestly, he was a really good boss. I've had bosses that, would have been furious at me, and this boss totally got that I had bigger problems than work. Anyway, so I woke up and because someone called my name and I woke up, like, like at work when they call you instantly respond and you're like, okay, yes, yes, what do you need me to do? Well, that was my mindset. Okay, what do I need to do? I'm sorry that I fell asleep. And I opened my eyes and I saw The Office. Literally hallucinated and saw The Office. And I heard doctor voices, and I was like in my head going, why am I hearing doctor voices at work? And I was like, because you're in a hospital. So why is my eyesight and my hearing not matching each other? And I didn't have a response for that in my head. I was just like, I don't know. Go back to sleep. I'll figure this out later. And apparently, I then got wheeled into my room and I apparently saw my friend. I don't remember this, but and I asked my friend Red, what are you doing at work? Anyway, I don't remember any of this. I do remember later coming anxiously conscious and being aware of being awake and where I was and actually being in the right room. And uh, it seemed very normal to be in that room, and it hadn't dawned on me for a while that I had been in surgery. And I remember the doctors coming in and they gave me some breathing thing where you breathe in and it measures how much you're breathing in. And I couldn't even get to the first line, which was 500, and I was supposed to get to like 1500. It took me like a week to get up there. That's how much the drugs affected my breathing. So, yeah, it was rough. And they said to get out of here, you need to do three things. We want you to be able to use, let's see, they wanted me to eat, they wanted me to drink, and they wanted me to get the pain under control. Well, they asked me how the pain was. This is a testament of how much drugs I was on at the moment. I just said, what pain? Don't worry, the pain hit me later. Um, Drinking was not a problem, eating was. I couldn't keep anything down for hours. And I kept trying. Like they handed me a menu and I immediately needed to go use the puke bucket. So yeah, it was rough. I did eventually eat. The pain was bad. Um, I wanted to talk to people, but the pain was so bad that I could do short sentences. We're talking like one or two word typing because that's all I could handle. I certainly didn't want to talk to anybody because of the pain I was in. And I wasn't even talking to my friend who spent the night, in fact, never left the hospital and got me anything I needed. Getting to the bathroom was not fun. I will say the pain was unlike any pain I've had before. It was all encompassing and it was, I don't know, like I've gone on hikes where I have come back absolutely wrecked and sore for days, and this made that pain look entirely minimum. And it was the thing that really stung even worse than the pain was the humility, not being able to walk, not being able to move, being in a hospital gown, not being able to brush my hair or do anything with my hair. Like when you sleep and you wake up and your hair is a mess, and you can get up and you can brush it, and style it, and do whatever you need to do. I couldn't do that, and I didn't even have the energy to care about my hair. And my friend had to get me dressed for the next day, had to brush my hair, and then we had to drive over to the pharmacy. And I got one of those motorized carts to get my painkiller. And I will tell you, it is really hard to use those carts when you're on painkillers and in a huge amount of pain. I will say this, I have learned one thing. Please, please be kind to those who are in the motorized carts. Just because they aren't old and they aren't in a cast doesn't mean that they don't need it, even if they're overweight. It may be that they're just fresh out of surgery and they literally cannot walk. So a lot of people treat those carts like they're invisible, and I'm pretty sure I've done the same. Please don't do that to those people. Give them the space, let them get their product. Even if you're like, no, I really need to get the thing. How dare they get in my way? They have a harder time. If they're in those carts, they don't want those carts. I hated it, and I had to use it for like 2 weeks. It was awful, and those carts are not easy to use. So please, please be a little bit kinder to them. Their life is hard. Um, and then the hardest hike of my life, fresh out of surgery, to go 3 flights, 30 stairs to my apartment. And I will say the drive to go see my cats is what got me up those stairs. Also, just simply to get horizontal and to get lying down, sitting was horrible. So I somehow got up those flights of stairs. My friend was like, I think he was in front of me, and no, he was behind me because if I fell, I could fall into him. And we just very, very slowly got me up those stairs. In fact, stairs are still a problem. I can get up them now without a break, but I can't. And if I get, excuse me, too panty, it starts hurting. And yeah, I'm learning that pain is not a good thing right now. Anyway, I like to think about how I lost all my freedoms and then had to regain them. And you don't realize the amount of freedoms you lose until you are stuck on your back and you cannot move. It felt like being a turtle, where, like when turtles get stuck on their back, it could be a death sentence for them unless something pushes them over. That's how it felt. If a bottle of water was 1 inch away, it might as well have been a mile. And I know the joke of, well, you're a Jedi, just use the Force. I know that joke exists. The problem is that even if that was a thing, like even if let's say the movies were real, I guarantee you no Jedi was ever going to get that bottle of water with the amount of drugs, pain, and exhaustion I was in. Yeah, there's just no way. So the freedoms I lost, and it is the weirdest things, but being able to like sit up, being able to go to the bathroom, being able to get myself a drink of water, being able to feed myself, being able to pet my cats. I've got one cat. Her name is Grace. She's a tabby. She loves a good belly rub, and she kept asking over and over and over for belly rubs, and I kept having to just ignore her and feeling horrible because there was no way I could bend over and rub her belly, and that hurt, and she didn't ever get why I was rejecting her. The other cat named Flame loves to sleep on my right side and couldn't understand why I wouldn't let him anywhere near my right side. That was the side that your gallbladder is on, in case you're wondering. And I had 4 stitches, and two were on the side, and two were like kind of in the middle around belly button area. And yeah, I will say this, Flame never left my side except to eat, use the bathroom, and once in a great while, like get up and move. I did have a friend, in case you're wondering. Red did stay on my couch for a week. The first night he was giving me pain meds for like they lasted until like Monday morning. So he had to give me pain meds throughout the night, waking me up at 3 in the morning to give me pain meds because you do not let those lapse. You don't try to stretch those out. You want to keep on your schedule. Trust the doctors. They only give me enough for a couple of days just to get me through the worst of the pain. And he had to do everything for me, and I hated that. I love my independence. I love being able to walk, and I was forced to shuffle for a couple of days like an old person. That was so embarrassing. Learning the freedoms of my body and learning what things I couldn't do for a while. Did you know you need core muscles to go use the bathroom? You don't realize it, but you do use core muscles to do number one and number two. And it is really hard to do those things when you can't use core muscles, and surgery wiped out those core muscles. Um, I quickly learned I did not want to sneeze or cough. And in fact, I want to share a little technique with you. You can try it. It's not guaranteed to work, but it does help. And it doesn't stop every sneeze out there. If you're the type that when you sneeze and you never feel it coming, this won't help. But if you're like me, who can feel her sneezes coming in, this does work. So press between like nose and lip area, right above your nose, right here. Press hard when you feel sneeze coming in, and it'll stop the sneeze from happening. But you have to keep pressing until the urge to sneeze ends. So feel free to try it next time you guys sneeze. But yeah, sneezing was not going to happen for a while. In fact, I'm still like every time I feel the sneeze, I'm like, okay, what's the pain level like? Do I need to stop the sneeze? Can I sneeze? Where's the tissue? All that. I will say a lot of this was about losing a lot of dignities and having to embrace a lot of shame and um, deal with a lot of fears, deal with a lot of trauma. I'm still dealing with a lot of trauma. The pain's a lot better now. I can walk normally, but I can't walk for much. I got all my endurance robbed. Like this whole walking 5 miles. Yeah, last night I just finally broke 3 miles, and it took me literally until 11 o'clock to get that done. And that was pacing and getting cleaning done. And I did finally get on a treadmill yesterday. I've been terrified to be on a treadmill. Um, I was convinced that I would fall or trip, and it would rip stitches and it would hurt. And thankfully, it didn't. I could definitely control speed, and I was going very slow on the treadmill. It took me 15 minutes to walk a third of a mile, and that was extremely draining. Like the whole just stop, lean over, and feel like crap for a minute in front of all the guys in that gym, which was definitely embarrassing. But that's kind of been the theme, learning to be embarrassed and learning to handle shame and learning that it's that your pride is not as big and as important as you think it is. And to understand that not everybody knows that I went through surgery, and that's okay. And I have to just do what I need to do. And learning it's okay to be a bit selfish in moments of crisis. It's really hard because in Judaism we're taught think of others, help others, be a service to others, serve the living force, serve your community, be helpful, be compassionate, be empathetic. And we train and train and train and train and train all of this. And to go against that grain and say, nope, you have to focus on you. You have to ask for the extra privilege. you have to take what you need to take, and not have the energy for anybody, and to give up some standards. Like, I couldn't brush my hair for days. I couldn't dress myself for a week. I couldn't wear a bra for a week until I went to Amazon and ordered one of those like camis with a built-in bra, just enough to be decent for public. Um, Having to get help with a shower. My friend absolutely had to help me get undressed, get into the shower, and wash my hair for me the first time because I couldn't lift my arms, and I certainly didn't have the energy to wash my hair. Um, my friend at 11 o'clock at night, because I went to the bathroom and got cold and started shivering, and shivering when you have stitches was torture. And having to put another blanket on, turn the heat, help me out, and be the person to think when I couldn't think. And Red is a wonderful, wonderful person. And all the people who talk to me and listen to me whine about the pain and listen to me whine about the trauma and the all the fears that I went through. And I will say I'm still reliving a lot of the flashbacks. Nights are hard because night is when I have nothing else to keep me distracted. So, yeah. I wish I had some great lesson. I wish I could just say, "Oh yeah, everything's great and I'm good." And I will confess, not everything's great. I am healing. I'm getting better physically. I'm getting stronger. I'm gaining more of my freedoms back, and I love the fact that I can walk. I love the fact that I can clean. I love the fact that I can shower. I just finally drove my own car yesterday, and I was absolutely fine. Um, I'm still having to deal with a lot of things. The fact that I still get tired easily. Um, and the fact that this is indeed a trial that I never saw coming, a trial that robbed me very, very quickly of everything. Learning a lot of things like what in the world is a gallbladder? Where is it in your body? If you're curious, it's like around your lower ribs. Think of wherever your stomach medically is. It is not in the middle of your tummy, it's kind of upper. Go to your right and you'll be kind of where your gallbladder is. Also, learn about gallbladder because it is statistically, well, apparently a lot of women do get their gallbladder taken out, but men can get their gallbladder taken out too. So don't ignore little warning signs. And it turns out I did have warning signs before this. I did have pain, and every like little bits of pain that I just kept thinking was, oh, I'm just getting older. I have random little pains. You hear about this all the time. So don't ignore those. Get that checked out. And I know for Americans it's expensive and it seems silly to go to a doctor and say, I have little pains here. I don't know what that means. I wish I had gone to a doctor, but when I had those pains, I was like, well, they're not frequent. They only happen every so often. I'm probably dehydrated. I'm probably just getting older. No, I wish I had gone. Yeah, I might have stopped this from happening. Maybe I didn't need surgery. Maybe I could have planned the surgery and not literally had it, 24 hours from when I was told to get surgery. I would have had more time to research it and get more prepared for it. And that was the big problem. I just didn't have the ability to get ready and I couldn't accept what was going on. And I will admit, it felt like all the training I have taught, all the training I've done, all the training I practiced, everything fell out the window. And I went into such severe panic. And I will admit, I'm ashamed of that. Like, what in the world happened? why did that happen? And I'm still chewing through that. So it's not one of those, there's a happy ending. There's not, oh, and here's the lesson of all this. It's ongoing. And I asked Alethea, should I share this? And she said, yes. People need to see others struggle and share this is what happens when things happen. And maybe this will help someone. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow someone will need emergency surgery. And you're like, well, I just heard from Karen. So here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to freak out. And I am going to call a friend. And I am going to keep, searching for the one person that can reach me. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my story. I'm going to end and give everybody a few minutes to talk about it if you want, and you can ask questions. And if there are no comments, that's cool too.
Well, just so you know, um, my older brother ignored it and it cost him his life.
Wow. I'm sorry.
But my mom had gallstones, he had gallstones, and I've had mine out. My daughter-in-law's had hers out. My grandson has his out. And now it looks like my granddaughter has gallstones too.
It seems to be one of those things that apparently everybody's had this, but nobody talks about this. At least nobody talks about this like, oh, like your appendicitis, which by the way, it's rather like your appendicitis. It's a little bit more useful, but you can definitely live without it. So far, I'm not having any dietary restrictions from it.
I never
But
had any, and neither did my daughter-in-law or my grandson.
but like apparently everybody's had this, but nobody told me, by the way, watch out for your gallbladder. It could go bad. Like everybody tells you, watch out for your appendix. That could go bad.
Mm-hmm.
We need to change that conversation. Watch out for your appendix and your gallbladder. Those could go bad. That's what needs to be said.
Well, my grandson went up to us. He had to get his spleen removed.
Holy cow. Yeesh.
He has a blood disease.
Oh, wow.
It's the Northern European version of sickle cell.
Ooh. Huh.
Instead of sickle shaped, his red blood cells turn into basketballs.
That's not good.
Nope. And getting rid of the spleen was inevitable. He put it up as long as he could.
Serenity wants to go. We can't hear you.
Did
Yeah,
they
I know
unmute?
that.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that mom was had her gallbladder out when she was younger, right after she had me actually, and it caused all kinds of problems. We've done mom. I was my mother's caregiver for many years, so did a bunch of surgeries that were very similar. So it's a rough coming back, and I admire you for that.
Thank you.
It's a lot easier now than it used to be because now it's laparoscopic.
Mm-hmm.
When
Yep.
I first got into nursing, it was a big incision in your belly, and you were in the hospital for several days with a drain in it and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I've heard about the drain, and I am very grateful I did not get a drain. But I will say this, laparoscopic. I mean, in theory, it sounds wonderful, and yes, I mean, smaller incisions is always good, but let's not pretend that it's like minor. And that's the thing I always thought, like laparoscopic. Oh, that means it's minor. No, no,
Oh, no,
it's
no,
not
no. It
minor.
does
It
not mean it's
hurts.
minor. Looks like Serenity's trying to talk.
Yeah, we still can't hear you. I'm sorry. Turn your mic off and on. Sometimes that helps. Nope. How about you leave and rejoin the Zoom? See if that helps. And I don't mean for this to be like a pity party. Like that's not the point of this. It's the share from a Jedi perspective, a really big trial.
Yeah, especially if you've been healthy most of your life. Like
Yeah,
by the time I got mine out, I've been in and out of the hospital a lot. So give it a few more hospitalizations, you won't be so embarrassed.
Hmm.
yeah. I had tubes in my ears when I was like 5, but I mean, this is entirely different and very, very hard to deal with.
Yeah.
Uh, Cameron, or did I say your name right? Sorry, I am
Yeah, I
horrible with
just wanted to say that anything health-wise, your biggest asset is actually your health. That it's something that, money just simply can't buy, meaning that there's no amount of money that can fix your health back to the way it was. No amount of therapy, no amount of money, nothing. So, unfortunately, this is a limited resource that we have to protect and try to be aware of. And so, absolutely sharing and awareness is a wonderful thing to do so that people can be aware. And, some things you cannot prevent. You may be able to lessen the impact or at least simply be prepared for it if it does happen.
Yeah, and I will say I never thought I would go through surgery like this. And I thought I was gonna be young and healthy forever. And I know that's illogical, but I mean that is the lie that all young people tell themselves. Oh, surgery
Immortal.
is for yeah, and surgery is for old people. I'll worry about that later. Until suddenly you're being told you need your gallbladder. What hospital are you going to?
I'm
What?
really I'm really glad that you shared that story because I know I had my appendix taken out in 2019 and I had no symptoms at all. I had no symptoms and all of a sudden I couldn't walk anymore and I was like this is weird, so I went to the hospital. I had a really high fever and they wouldn't let me go. They said, "Well, no, you have to take your appendix out. It's about to burst." So that's how
Wow.
serious that can be. Yeah, that was scary because I didn't have any symptoms. I didn't have any pain. Just had a fever and a slight inconvenience. And I even, yeah, after the surgery, I just got up, I went to the toilet and went home and I thought, oh, I'm fine until I wanted to go to the gym. And then my body just said nope. And it has said nope many times after that. So I can see yeah, I can see that that is horrible. And I'm really happy that you're sharing this here because I never share it. I never even talk about surgery because I've only had 2 surgeries in my life. And yeah, on my stomach, I've had 2 surgeries and then the appendix. So that's 3. And that is, yeah, that's something that people just not share. And it's
And
unknown.
it should, especially for Jedi, because it's such a different experience. Cameron, your hand's still up. Did you mean for that to be up? I'm gonna check the chat. Jeff, I do apologize. I am running over your time. Sorry about that.
Life
There
is
was a
life is life. It's a great
there was a
story.
little